about you. Hello. Welcome to our channel, or welcome back. I'm always happy to see you again, or to see you here for the first time. I'm Christina, and this is going to be a true crime ASMR video. That's why I am whispering or soft-speaking. So today is Tuesday night, and it's time for another episode of Tuesday's Wine and Crime. And I have here some Prosecco that I want to share with you. So gin, let's take a sip. So please find yourself a cozy spot. Pour yourself some wine or a cup of tea or whatever you like. And let's get started. I want to thank you first for bringing this case into my attention. You suggested this case, and I'm going to talk about the disappearance of Claudia Lawrence, born on 27th February 1974. Her full name was Claudia Elizabeth Lawrence. She is a British woman who was seen for the last time on the 18th of March 2009. This young woman vanished, is gone. Nobody since that day has ever seen her again, talked to her, or heard anything about her. She was 35 years old when she went missing, and she has been missing for 13 years. This is extremely sad and frustrating. Imagine to have someone in your family that disappears and you are not able to find anything about that person. She worked as a chef, and she was a beautiful, hard-working young lady who was responsible and who even bought a house of her own, so she really knew what she wanted. Claudia had a happy childhood. She also had a sister, an older sister. Her father was a solicitor, very good one. And she went to a private college. She was privately educated at the York College for Girls. And then she attended a local catering college, and she became a chef. She worked first at hotels and restaurants in New York, but although she was a very hard-working person, she was constantly tired and didn't have time to do anything else except for work. So in 2006, she found a job at the University of York, and she, since 2006, she had been working as a chef in the canteen of the university in the main campus. So, as I have told you, she was extremely hardworking, so she could save money, and she bought her own cottage in York, a very nice little cottage. The house was about 3 miles from where she worked. She was considered a good employer, extremely punctual and extremely reliable, and that kind of person who is never late, and that kind of person you can always rely on. And I'm a little bit, let's not say upset, but I blame media for this, because in the wanting to haunt the sensational, to find details in someone's life that sell their paper. They digged into this woman's life and found details and blamed her, blamed the victim, shamed her for her private life, and somehow distracted the audience from what really mattered, the fact that she was missing. They somehow suggested, I'm talking about media, and they suggested that somehow she deserved what she got, because apparently she had some sort of double life. We have that hardworking girl who goes to work, who buys her own house, extremely mature, reliable, but on the other hand we have that kind of girl who likes to date, it is said, middle-aged men, and married. She was called housebreaker. I don't know why people always blame the lady, because you know what you need to for a tango. So we have two people to blame here, not only the woman. So she was extremely attractive, and media digged into this aspect of her life and distracted everyone from what really mattered, the fact that she was missing. So she had her social life, of course. She had a number of short-term relationships. before she disappeared, but she was extremely private with this aspect of her life. She had never talked about this with her mother or her sister. Nobody knew about this side of her, to say so. The media speculated and influenced somehow the investigation of her disappearance. Imagine that she had met a number of men, and the police had to investigate all these persons. After buying her own house, Claudia liked to spend her evenings at a local pub close to her home. And she also had some relationships with some men that she connected with while she was spending time at that pub. She was in love with an island with Cyprus, and she loved going on holiday there. And some of her friends say that she had valued getting a job there, but we don't know for sure. So, I don't like to blame people, to dig into their past, to blame the victim, but it was somehow important for the investigators to know about her past, to know about this aspect of her life, because they always suspect someone the victim knows, someone close to a possible victim. So I guess they really had to know about her past. On the morning of 18th of March 2009, Claudia started her shift at work at 6 a.m. as always, and finished work at 2 p.m. There are also a number of CCTV footage of her that day. So she was recorded on CCTV leaving her place of work, walking, because her car was needed to be fixed. And around 3 p.m. she was caught on another CCTV near a shop in Melrose Gate, close to her home. She was also spotted seen by a neighbor of hers. That evening, I am talking about the 18th of March. That evening, she spoke on the phone to her parents. Her parents had divorced, but she loved them both and talked to both of them regularly on the phone. That divorce didn't affect their relationship in any way. So she talked on the phone to both her father and mother. Her mother said that she seemed to be extremely relaxed. And that she could hear that her daughter was watching the same TV show as she was. And they talked about a Mother's Day and how to meet that day to celebrate. And Claudia told her mother that she really needed to wake up very early the next morning because she had to walk because her car was being under repair. Then she sent a text message from her Samsung mobile phone at around 8:20 p.m. And after that, nobody is known to have ever seen or heard from Claudia again. So she just vanished. There is no trace of her. So the next day, the 19th of March, she needed to start work at 6 a.m. But of course she did not go to work, and her manager called her numerous times, but the call was directed into the voicemail. Previously, Claudia had a best friend named Susie, and she had previously arranged to go together to the pub that night. So they had an appointment. They had to go together for a drink. And Susie waited for her, but she didn't come, of course, and she tried to call her. The calls went directly into the voice messaging, which seemed extremely strange to Susie because Claudia was always on her phone texting, and she had all the time her phone on her in one of his pockets in her hand, and she always answered. It had never happened to call her and to be directed to the voice messages. But she assumed that probably she was really tired. She overslept and forgot to charge her phone. So we don't think that something terrible might have happened. I think of normal things that might happen. The next morning, it was Friday, on the 20th of March, Susie tried to call her again, and again without succeeding to. And she began to worry tried to call a bunch of friends, and she called a bunch of friends, and she even called Claudia's father. Extremely alarmed, Claudia's father called his daughter, but we know that he couldn't get in touch with her, and he called her manager, and he confirmed that she had not come to work on either 19th or 20th of March. Peter went to Claudia's house. He had a key, so he entered the house, but there was nothing to worry about inside the house. Everything was nice and neat. The bed was made. There were dishes in the sink, and they could tell that she had had breakfast before leaving. And there was also in the house Claudia's purse, where she kept her wallet, her cards, passport, everything was in there. The only things that were missing were her phone, her mobile phone, and her rucksack that she used on a daily basis to carry her chef uniform to work. So they could tell that she had left the house as usually, to go to work at around 5 a.m. on the morning of the 19th of March, but she had never returned. So they couldn't find anything in the house. And there were no fingerprints, no forced entrance, nothing. So the family contacted the North Yorkshire police at around 2 p.m. on the 20th of March and reported Claudia as a missing person. But as she was 35 years old, grown up, mature woman, they didn't think at first that something wrong might have happened. There were no evidence of any kind of violent act. They assumed that she just decided to take some days off and spend her time somewhere. And those who knew her and loved her family, became very insistent, because they were sure that she had never left behind everything she had, just like that, living without saying anything, living without a trace. And after 5 weeks, the case that initially was a missing person case became one of suspected murder. And then investigation started. And a lot of possibilities were considered. First, as I have told you, they thought that she had eloped with someone, or she left for a new job, or she wanted to take a break. And because she was a grown-up woman, she was 35 years old, they assumed that she just decided to live for a few days, a few weeks with someone, and she wanted to keep somehow this secret. But again, the family insisted that this possibility is not plausible, so they dismissed this possibility in the long run. Then they thought that Claudia had suffered an accident on her way to work. They recreated the route from her home to her place of work, checking step by step everything, but they found no clue to support this theory, and they have to give up this one also. The theory was that she met on her way to work. She met a potentially dangerous person, some sort of serial killer or something, and they seriously investigated this possibility. Then that she might have been the victim of a person she knew, which is quite plausible. So while she was going to work, she met someone she trusted, someone she knew. Claudia's mobile phone remained on until 10 past 12 p.m. On 19th of March, and then she was deliberately switched off. So, determined that the phone had been connected to a tower in the area of work throughout the morning of 19th of March, indicating that the phone itself did not leave the local area, and still her backpack, her phone have never been found. Later on in 2009, the search for Claudia had been extending to Cyprus, because they found out that Claudia knew several people who lived on the island, and she might have received job offers there. But to live just like so with a backpack and leave behind a passport and everything else, this is really, really strange. There was also a person spotted around Claudia's house. In the evening she was last seen, and that person was seen again the next morning. Detectives searched an area of the University of York campus also, looking for the driver of a white van, who apparently was spotted trying to talk to women on Claudia's route to work days before she disappeared. But they could not discover anything, and they considered this some sort of false lead. And a number of arrests were made, and among these persons was a 59-year-old man who lived close to her house, and he was reported to have offered her lifts in his car to and from work. They investigated again Claudia's house, and it is said that they could find some additional fingerprints and a man's DNA on a cigarette and in her car. But they had to release that man without any charge in November 2009. The police even arrested the landlord of a pub, but he was quickly released without any charge. There were other arrests that were made later, but none. No one was charged. All these persons were released. Everyone that had been investigated denied any involvement in Claudia's disappearance, so every lead that they followed went to nowhere. It was a closed door. Police also complained about a lack of cooperation from the witnesses. They even drained a lake to examine the lake's bed because they got a tip, but they could not find anything. they use radar equipment, dogs, but nothing significant had ever been found. So this young woman has been missing for 13 years. She woke up one morning, prepared to go to work, and somewhere on the road from her house to her work, she vanished without a trace. Nobody saw anything, nobody heard anything. Nobody could ever find any trace, any piece of evidence, anything. So I tend to believe that when I started working as a teacher, I was very young, and I had to walk to work every morning. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning because classes started at 7, and I lived in a village, and I was working in the next town, to say so. So I had to walk for about 2 kilometers to go to the bus station. And especially in winter, it was absolutely dark early in the morning, and although the village I lived in was a very safe place and I knew everyone, it happened to meet strange people. It happened to be extremely scared. And I also I was followed by a car once, and people that knew me stopped their cars to offer me a lift to school. And if I really trusted that person, if it was someone really close that I really knew, someone like a neighbor I had known for years, or a parent of one of my students, a mother, or a colleague of mine, I accepted. If not, now I just went straight to the bus station and I think it's just my theory, my personal theory. I think someone she might have known offered her a lift to work. That's what I think. And that person might be a neighbor, someone very close to her, someone that had never suspected. Because some people appear to be ordinary, normal, but we never know what's the other side of them. I think personally, that it was I don't think it was a serial killer, because these kind of persons leave traces, like to boast, like to gather trophies, like to let the others know what they did. I think it was someone obsessed with her, someone she might possibly rejected. I don't think it has anything to do with her past and her lovers. Maybe someone frustrated. She was known as having affairs, to say so, and she rejected that very person, and he somehow became obsessed and found a way to have her. I don't know. That is my theory, and I think he was pretty close. That's what I think. She might have eloped with someone, but no, I don't think so. Because that someone she eloped with had relatives and family, and we had 2 missing persons then. She might have gone to another country. I seriously doubt, without her passport and her cards and her... no, I don't think so. And she was pretty close to her family, to her sister, to her mother, so I don't think that she was able to behave like so, to make her family suffer this way for so many years. So this is extremely frustrating. In spite of technology, in spite of everything, the investigators were not able to find any clue, anything. This girl vanished as if, I don't know, someone made a hole in the middle of the street. She was swallowed by that hole and she just vanished too. So let me know in the comments below what you think about this case. Please don't forget to drop a like. This helps the algorithm work somehow in my favor. So drop a like, leave a comment. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Only if you want to, of course. So thank you very much for listening, and see you next time. The next true crime story will be on Sunday evening. I generally post those at 2:30 a.m. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much again, and see you next time.